Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be looking at all of our Wednesday, February 26 NBA games. We're going to be breaking them all down. There's about 9 games in total. We're going to break down the matchups, try to predict the outcome. Who's going to win, who's going to lose, and we'll also be looking at the best bets, the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. First things first, though, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, drop them below, and I will respond to every single one of them. We're going over every game throughout the entire NBA season. We also have a lot of NFL news going on off season. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. But guys, let's go ahead and get started looking at these matchups. The very first one that we're going to have, February 26th, 7 p.m. Wednesday, the 41-16 Boston Celtics versus the 32-26 Detroit Pistons. Right now, the Celtics 51.5% chance to win this game. This game's practically a 50-50, and the Pistons 48.5% chance to win this game. Right now, the Celtics 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 225.5. Coming into this matchup, right now the Celtics sit at number 2 in the East. Pistons sit at number 6. This is 2 playoff caliber teams, 2 teams destined for the playoffs. That's why this is a 50-50 matchup. Right now the Celtics are probably the better team overall, offense, defense, but the Pistons are at home, and the Pistons have been pretty hot the last 10 games. They're 8-2 the last games, whereas the Celtics are still 9-1. Both of these teams playing really good basketball right now. Looking at the playmakers for the Celtics, they have Tatum, 26.8 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, 5.7 assists. They're probably not going to have Horford for this game, and the Pistons are going to counter that. They have Cunningham, 25.8 points, 6.3 rebounds, 9.5 assists, spreading the ball out really well. Both teams play really well in the paint. Both teams one of the better rebounding teams. Right now for Boston, they're averaging 117.4, and they have 45.3 rebounds per game. They're only giving up 108 points per game, one of the better defensive squads in the NBA. And for the Pistons, they're averaging 114.2, 45.3 rebounds. Who is going to win in the paint? And the Celtics don't have Horford. Don't forget that. And they're giving up 113.3. Celtics slight favorites here. This game is going to be close. I'm going to go with the Celtics winning on the road, but I'm going to go with the plus 4.5. I think this is going to be a really close matchup. And then our next game at 7 p.m., we have the 18-39 Toronto Raptors versus the 32-24 Pacers. Right now, the Pacers heavy favorites, 76.4% chance to win this game. They are 9.5-point favorites. The over-under is 238.5. Looking at the Raptors in this matchup, right now they sit at 13th in the East. The Pacers sit at number 4 in the East. It's 2 teams going in completely different directions. Right now, what's really hurting the Raptors is their inability to consistently score. The last 10 games are 3-7, and they're only scoring 108.6 points per game, whereas the Pacers are 6-4, averaging just under 120 the last 10 games. They are the healthy team right now. Obviously, they have Siakam. He's averaging 20.4 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and the Raptors are going to counter that with Barrett, who's having a really strong season, 21.9 points per game. But Toronto, they got to get the scoring up, and they're on the road. It's going to be a little more difficult to do that. Right now, they're averaging 110.9, and they're giving up 116.4. Pacers, they average 116.4, and they're giving up 115.6. Right now, we're going to go with the Pacers to win this matchup, and we actually are going to go with them covering the spread. They cover the 9.5. In the next matchup, we have an Eastern Conference battle. This one's going to be on ESPN, 7 p.m., the 20-37 Philadelphia 76ers. This isn't the team of the last couple seasons. This team has a lot they need to work on, especially on the scoring side. They'll be playing the 37-20 New York Knicks. Right now, the Knicks at home, 71.9% chance to win this game, 9.5-point favorites. Over here is 232.5. 76ers coming into this matchup, they sit at 12th in the East. Knicks sit at 3rd in the East. Completely different teams. Knicks can score. Knicks can play defense. They have a great 1-2 punch. They have Brunson. They have Karl Anthony Towns. Looking at the playmakers, obviously, for the 76ers, they have Maxey having a great season, 27.1 points per game, and the Knicks have Brunson, 26 points per game. Karl Anthony Towns is coming in 24.6 points per game. Very good, a very deep 1-2 punch, and they play solid defense. Right now for Philadelphia, they're averaging 108.9. They got to work on that offense. Only 39.3 rebounds per game. They are not dominating in the paint, and they're giving up 113.5. New York, they average 117.9. They're giving up 113.1. We have the Knicks winning this matchup. I hate to say they'll cover, but I'm going to go with the Knicks covering the spread at home as well. And the next game, also at 7 a.m., is going to be on Blazer Vision. The 25-33 Portland Trailblazers versus the 10-47 Washington Wizards. Both of these teams sliding further and further down in their conferences, but they still want to be competitive. They still want to pull this matchup. Right now, Portland on the road, 58.8% chance to win this game, and the Wizards have a 41.2% chance. Portland on the road is going to be 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is 228.5. Looking at the teams overall, Portland 13th in the Western Conference, Washington 15th in the East. Both of these teams are battling practically for last place in their respective conferences. Right now for the Trailblazers, they're going to be led by Simmons, 18.7 points per game. They're only scoring 109.7. They're giving up 114.2. And the Wizards, Poole having a solid season so far, 21 points a game, 3.2 rebounds, 4.8 assists. They're averaging 108.1, giving up 121.1, one of the worst defenses in the NBA. And they don't have a great offense to complement it. They are at home, though, but we're going to go with Portland on the road winning this game. But for some reason, I think it's going to be close. We're going to go with the plus 5.5 here.
And guys, the next matchup is going to be one of the best, if not the best, in the West versus one of the worst in the East. It's a West on East matchup. We're going to have the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Brooklyn Nets. Right now, Oklahoma City, 46-11. They sit number 1 in the Western Conference. The Brooklyn Nets, 21-36. They sit at 11th in the East. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Oklahoma's actually really good on the road. They come in here 20-7 on the road. Obviously, they dominate at home, but they can bring that performance on the road with them. They're heavy favorites, 81% chance to win this game, 11.5-point favorites. The over in here is 215.5. So basically, Vegas has them dominating this game on both sides of the floor. Right now, they're going to be led by Alexander, one of the best, if not the best scorer in the NBA, 36.4 points per game. 5.2 rebounds, 6.2 assists. As a team, they're averaging 118.4, but they can also bring that performance with them with their defense. They have a top 5 defense in the NBA, only giving up 105.7. And for the Nets, they're going to have Johnson, 19.1 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 2.9 assists. One of the worst offenses. They're only averaging 104.8. They're giving up 110.8. They actually don't have a bad defense, considering that that's what they have to rely on the entire game. But Oklahoma City, they run the fast break. They have Williams. They have Alexander. They can beat you multiple ways. We have Oklahoma City winning this one. But that's a massive spread. I hate massive spreads. I'm going to go with the plus 16.5 on this one. And in our next game, it's going to be some East on East. Both of these teams are actually fighting for position, fighting for a spot to make the playoffs. At 7:30 p.m., the 27-31 Atlanta Hawks versus the 26-30 Miami Dolphins. Right now, Miami at home, very, very slight favorite. This game's a coin flip. 50-50, flip a coin, that's who's going to win this one. Right now, Miami, 50.9% chance to win this game. The Hawks sit at 8 in the Eastern Conference. The Heat sit at 9 in the Eastern Conference. So like I said, both of these teams are fighting for positioning. In the last 10 games, Hawks have been 5-5, whereas the Heat have been 3-7. So they're not playing their best basketball right now. Looking at the overall team scoring here, you have Trae Young leading the way. It's going to be Trae Young versus Tyler Hero. Trae versus Tyler. Who's going to take control of this game? Trae Young, 24 points a game. Hero, he comes in, he's also averaging 24 points per game. For the Hawks, they're averaging 116.7. They're giving up 119. Miami, they're averaging 109.7. They're giving up 110.7. They are a defensive team. They don't have much offensive firepower. At least the Hawks know they still have Trae Young, but it's Miami at home who's the favorite. 1.5-point favorite. The over in here is 229.5. I'm going to go with the Hawks winning this one. Close one on the road. Going to go with the plus 1.5, but I don't want to go anywhere near this one. Like I said, it's a 50-50 matchup. In our next matchup, we're also going to be looking at some West versus some Eastern teams. This game's going to be at 8 p.m. We have the 31-26 LA Clippers versus the 23-35 Chicago Bulls. Right now, the Clippers on the road, 65.7% chance to win this game. They are 7.5-point favorites. The over here is 228.5. You would think the Bulls would be a little favored at home, but the Bulls actually play worse at home than they do on the road. They're only 10-20 on their home court. That doesn't give them very much props here. That doesn't give them a big advantage being here on their home court. Right now, the Clippers, they sit at 6th in the West. The Bulls sit at 10th in the East. But one thing that the Clippers have going for them on the road here, they do have some offensive production. They're not going to have Leonard. They're not going to have Simmons. What else is new? They're going to be able to counter that, though, with James Harden coming in. He's averaging 21.4 points a game. They also have Powell having a really solid season, 24.2 points a game. They're averaging 110.7. They also have a pretty solid defense, only giving up 108.5. They can dominate with their defense. Defense does travel on the road with you. The Bulls are going to counter that. They're going to have Vucevic. He's coming in 116.4 points per game as a team. He's averaging 19.1. They're giving up 120.4. They can score some points, but their defense is pretty bad, one of the worst.
Clippers win, and they cover.
Western Conference on Western Conference matchup. This game's going to be at 9 p.m. We're going to have the 29 and 29 Sacramento Kings versus the 14 and 43 Utah Jazz. Right now, the Kings on the road here, heavy favorites. 76.5% chance to win this game. They are 8.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 235.5. They are heavy favorites on the road, and you definitely understand why when you see the numbers. Jazz play awful versus the Western Conference. They are 6 and 34 versus the Western Conference. They actually play better versus the East this season. But they're not playing the East tonight. They're going to have to get to the Kings. Both of these teams are not having a really good season so far. Right now, the Kings 10th in the West. The Jazz 15th in the West. Obviously, the Kings are still having the better overall season. Looking at the playmakers for the Kings, they're going to be led by DeRozan, 22.1 points per game. And the Jazz, they're going to be led by Markkanen. He's coming in right now, 19.3 points a game. Team stats, Sacramento, they're averaging 116.9. They could move the ball, and they're giving up 115.8 for Utah. Not a bad overall team stat-wise. They're averaging 112.4. They're giving up 119.4. They're kind of stuck in the middle. They're not great at offense. They're not great at defense. So the other team, you just have to beat them at one of those facets, and you can take this game. We are going to go with the Kings winning this one on the road, but we're going to still go with the plus 8.5 overall. And our final game of the night is going to be, again, a Western Conference on Western Conference matchup. This game's going to be on ESPN at 9:30. You have the 24 and 31 Spurs. Spurs riding a 3-game losing streak right now. They would love to end that on the road. They're going to be playing the 35 and 22 Houston Rockets. The last 10 games, the Rockets are 4 and 6. Not playing their best basketball, but overall, really solid team, and they're at home. They have a 76.1% chance to win this game. They are 8.5-point favorites. The over-under in this matchup, they're going to come in at 224.5. Obviously, looking at the playmakers for the Spurs, they're going to have Wembanyama. The Spurs, they really have no shot at making the playoffs. They're 13th in the West. Houston is still holding on to their playoff spot. They have the offense. They are 5th in the West. Two teams going in completely different directions, but the Spurs are also banged up. Wemby, he's banged up. He was the team's leading scorer, 24.3 points per game. On the other side, you have Green, 21.5 points per game. Looking at team stats, the Spurs are averaging 112.7, and they are giving up 114.5. Where they are really good at is spreading the ball around. They are 4th in the Western Conference in assists, but will they be able to get enough production out of their bench, out of their role players to be able to keep up with the Rockets? Right now, the Rockets average 112.9. They're giving up 109, and they have a decent to average offense, but it's what they do on defense that's going to give them the edge in a lot of these games, and they're at home where they can rely on that defense. Green leads the way. We have the Rockets winning this one, but I'm going to go with the plus 8.5 on this matchup as well. Guys, that's just a quick breakdown. That's our prediction and bets for our Thursday, February 26th, our Wednesday, February 26th NBA matchups. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe.